Welcome back to Blind Man Morris, and if you're wondering, I'm doing what I do a lot, which is looking for a spanner, the right type of spanner. And the reason why I'm looking for the right type of spanner is because there are three spanner systems used on a Morris Minor. Well, two mainly, and then you get the evil metric creeping up on the outside. So here we have, and this is a problem I get a lot, is looking for the right spanner for a specific job on the Minor, and it's usually half-inch AF or a quarter Whitworth. And occasionally a 13mm. So, what's the difference? So, Whitworth is an old unit designed by Joseph Whitworth in the 1840s to standardise thread sizes in the UK, which speeded up the uses of nuts and bolts in the engineering sector in the Victorian period. And then we get towards the Second World War, and the Americans very brightly came up with the idea of coming up with a spanner which was related to the bolt head size. So you had half fitting a half. Whereas on a Whitworth, the spanner size is to do with the shank and thread of the bolt and not the head. So even though that's over a half, or 1 point, well, it's a half, it's just over a half, and it a Whitworth, yeah. That is. So that is a 1/4 inch Whitworth, which fits over a 1/2 inch across the flat bolt size. So as you can see, yesterday I was looking for a bolt, and this is a wing bolt from a Morris Minor. As you can see, it's cone shaped at the top there, which obviously on a Morris is a 1/4 inch Whitworth. Look at that, fits beautifully. Of course, I was struggling with my half, doesn't fit. Tried the 13, that doesn't fit. So that is a 1/4 inch Whitworth. So if we go over to the 1/2 inch size bolt, this is half AF, so that is half across from the flat to one side to the other, and the half fits that beautifully. Look at that, nice and snug. And the 13 fits it, a little bit loose but not too bad. But the 1/4 inch, which is the closest conversion from a Whitworth to an AF, it will do it, but that is quite sloppy. So let's try the open end on there. Yeah, not quite right. So that is the trouble with having three different spanner systems on your Morris. So, how did we arrive at this model? Well, it goes back a long way, back to the 1840s with Sir Joseph Whitworth, who invented the very good system of standardising the sizes for thread types across the UK. Of course, that was adopted by the rail industry, the marine industry, and all civil engineering. So you could have a nut and bolt shear off on your steam engine in Bradford-on-Avon, and you could get a bolt and nut from Glasgow and it would fit. Whereas before, you'd have to go back to the manufacturer of that particular engine and get a bolt specifically from him. Going forward to where Morris's came around in the 1940s, where Alec Izigonis was designing the Moggy, and he used Whitworth because that was what was available pre-war in BSW, or British Standard Whitworth. So that's what the fixings and fastenings were designed for the Morris. But shortly after the war, AF, which is the across flats, started to come in. And by the 1960s, we have sort of a 50-50 mix of Whitworths and AFs on a Morris. And by the end of the 60s, going into the 70s, you started to see, especially in the 70s and 80s with a Morris, metric creeping in on parts like alternative and conversion kits and things like that. So that's why you need metric and all three sizes. Yeah, so there we go. So what you'll, most of the places you will find a Whitworth though on a Morris is on the chassis and suspension, because the design of the bolt thread at 55-degree pitch could take a massive shock impact and not shatter like the rubbish AF and metric bolts. Yeah, so there we go. So that's why you need three spanner systems on a Morris, and that's why I spend most of my time fuffling around in my toolbox trying to find the right spanner for the right nut, and then getting to the car and realising that that nut's been replaced by a metric, so I'm going to go and cry in a corner like I normally do. And there we go.
Is that why we've got so many spanners?
We've got hundreds of spanners. Hundreds. We've got, yeah, I can't even imagine how many spanners, and sockets, of course. So we've got Whitworth sockets, we've got AF sockets, we've got metric sockets, I've got deep sockets, shallow sockets, slim
Mini
spanners.
Ones. We haven't mentioned British Association.
Oh, sorry, BA. Yes. So there are BA nuts and BA spanners, which are the really small ones. Tend to find those on electrical components on the Morris, top of the coil, in the condenser. In the distributor. I think that's a BA, holding the points down. It's either a 2BA or a 4BA spanner size, but the AFs do tend to fit those if you can get a small spanner size on there. Anything else? Can you think of anything?
Well, Joseph Whitworth was an amazing man. And not only did he do this, of course, he was massively into weaponry as well. And he created the Whitworth rifle, which could hit a bullseye at 366 metres. So it was one of the first ever sniper rifles. And he was made a baronet by Queen Victoria. And he was a great philanthropist. I'll try that again. He was a great philanthropist, and he put a lot of money into the area where he came from. He was born in Stockport in Cheshire, but it was Manchester where he spent a lot of his time. And even today, you can get a mechanical engineer's scholarship that Joseph Whitworth started. So I think that's amazing, really. He also was into art.
He was, yeah. But and can you remember his precise measurement down to inches?
He created an end measurement system in the, I think, 1870s, which could measure something down to a millionth of an inch, which apparently is equivalent to 3,000ths of the thickness of a human hair.
Yeah. So next time you're crawling under your miner and you're wondering why you've got 3 spanners in your pocket trying to fit one bolt, give a nod to Joseph Whitworth. And there we go.